My name's Daniel McCaffrey. We've been looking at the productive economy. Let's recap first before we go into the question of how it works, and let's look back at what it is and where it sits in the rest of the New Zealand political and economic arrangements.
Well, there's the productive economy and all the people who work in it. And as you can see, there's people in the manufacturing industry, there's people in retail and distribution, all over the place. In 1978, when I was a lot younger than I am today, I started work with the Department of Statistics. And over the next 7 years, I was part of the greatest research or economic census of the New Zealand economy that was ever undertaken. Every enterprise in New Zealand submitted a questionnaire, which was essentially their books, large and small, from the largest firms in the country, the largest government departments who are trading, down to the very smallest. We started with 78,000 questionnaires in the census of distribution. And all these results were crammed into a 2900 ICL computer in Trentham. And over the course of the next 7 years, in accordance with the ideas set down in the National Development Conference of 1968, we surveyed the forestry sector, we surveyed the transport sector, we did the distribution centre, we did the manufacturing enterprises of New Zealand. And what we were trying to establish was the value added, the wages paid, the inputs and supplies purchased, the profits made of every enterprise in New Zealand. And we counted every sheep, every tree, every deer. Oh, by the way, there was 71,565,284 sheep in New Zealand in 1981, and I know I was part of counting them. I got a pretty good education in this productive economy and where the value is added, and this is what it is. And as we discussed before, this productive economy, this leviathan of productions and services, sits within New Zealand society, if you like, but within the New Zealand economy, right at the heart of supplying all the services to every person in the economy, all the goods that they use, that they purchase from the supermarket, the tyres they buy, their cars, their petrol, everything is supplied from this productive economy. And there's where it sits. It sits among the state, which extracts about $80 billion a year from the productive economy. And then, of course, the state supplies welfare to the various people who work and who cannot work. The voluntary sector, the finance sector, government, political parties, the electorate and the lobby groups, those are the people who interplay around the productive economy.
Right, let's have a look how it works, who the players are, how they interact, what they do, and we'll see how the productive economy works.
You're looking at a very simple diagram that portrays the most complex thing that humans have ever invented. If you like, that red panel on the left is all the workers, the employees, the managers, the people who take a salary or a wage and come to work every morning to contribute their skills, their physical energy to the making of products and the supply of services. And what they get out of it is income. But there's two kinds of income, and we'll talk about this in a later episode. There's disposable income, which allows you to pay your power bills, your ongoing expenses, your rent, your power, your mortgage, the things that you have to pay every week regardless, which simply keep you in the same place as you were the week before. You paid the rent, you bought the petrol, you've been to the supermarket, got your food, and that is what disposable income essentially is. It's enough to keep you in place as you were the week before. But some lucky people and hard-working people in the productive economy have money left over. It's discretionary. They can decide to go to the movies, they can decide to buy a new car, they can decide to buy a batch, they can decide to go on an overseas trip because they've got money left over. It's discretionary. They have their own discretion as to how they'll spend it. And they have a discretion to save it. That's where the savings come from. Savings don't come from disposable income. You've got to pay the rent or buy the groceries. There's nothing left. This is the leftover money. And not everyone has it for a whole variety of reasons, which I shall explain, as I said, in a later episode. And that all goes into the consumer purchasing side, that green bit at the top. That's where all the purchases are made. and the purchases that people make of petrol or a new tyre for the car or a haircut or whatever, they are not just workers, they are also consumers. They consume the output of the productive economy. And so in that sense, there's three legs to it. It's three legs to a stool. It's not just the exploitation, as we're often told by the owners and the investors in productive enterprises. All parties are consumers. Now, if you look out on the right-hand side, that greeny, purpley thing, that's the capital organisational enterprise side of the productive economy. When you go to work, you don't bring your own lathe. The employer bought the lathe. You use the technology that's in place, or the systems at an insurance firm or wherever you work. All of the infrastructure, the technology, the computers, the whole lot are supplied by the enterprise, the owners of the enterprise. And they invest. This is where the owners invest capital. Capital is a component of the production economy. It's not the entirety of it. We can see that, say, in countries like Africa, where they get capital, but they've got none of these components of the productive economy, so it's blown up against the wall and totally wasted. Now, what comes out of the investor's side, the owner's side, the dairy farmer who gets up in the morning and milks the cows or has people milk the cows, are profits, or in the case of a plumber, drawings. They get an income out of providing the technology, providing the expertise, providing the management to run the enterprises and to employ the people and pay them the salaries. They get profits and drawings. And if they've got a bit left over, they've got some capital, bit of money stacked away that they can invest in more machinery, expand the firm, do some more marketing. And they also are part of the purchasing economy, because they're out buying raw materials, they're out buying supplies, they're out buying transport services. So they also are part of the consuming part of the economy. They consume the wholesale goods and inputs, if you like. So that circle, that triangle, if you like to call it, the three parts of it, the workers, the salary earners, the owners, the investors, the enterprise directors, are all in this wheel of prosperity that makes the productive economy and provides everything that we own: the wallpaper, the carpet, the desk, the chair, the kitchen goods, the kitchen mixer, the fridge. All of it comes from people who work in this productive economy, people who invest in it, people who spend their lives trying to build a business in it, and even those who fail, who in my view are heroes in the productive economy when the old investment goes broke and the firm collapses and it's all sad and the mortgage is drawn in and they lose their house. They're heroes. They had a go. And this is where risk is. It's risk on one side of the equation with the investors and the employers, but there's also the risk that you're investing your time and energy, drawing a salary and a wage from an industry that's going to die. It's a risky business. This is where risk is catered for. It's a marvellous invention that's only been with us about 200 years. New Zealand has it. Some countries don't have a productive economy, and that's why there's poverty. This creates wealth, prosperity, and riches, the productive economy.
The productive economy, how it works. And if you notice in the interrelationships and the chains of production, what happens in there is that value is added. At each step of the process, at each interchange or relationship between the customers, the workers, the employers, the owners, value is added. Machinery is placed in a warehouse, the raw materials brought in, skilled workers are employed, capital is spent, marketing is used, and value is added to the workers' contribution, to the owner's contribution, to the technology, and to the inputs, the raw materials. And that includes services, whether an office is set up and skilled people are brought in to do your nails or process your insurance claims. Value is added in the productive economy, and that's what distinguishes it from all the other parts of society and the economy generally. In the next episode, we'll see how the productive economy pays all the tax that is paid in the entire economy and makes possible the vast range of state services and resources that are placed at everyone's disposal.